Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Catherine. I am very happy to have with me Larry Ross. He is the co-founder and executive director of the Omega Youth Leadership Academy. And Larry, it is great to talk to you because it's been a while since we've actually seen each other.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Well, we go way back to years when you were teaching journalism and bringing your students to the Arizona Latino Media Association High School writing workshop, journalism workshop. I was on the board, and you would always have the best, most brightest students who always excelled at everything. And
Thank
you
you.
were always so energetic with your students. And I just appreciate the kind of teacher that you have been and were to those students that you brought with you.
Thank you. I appreciate those kind words.
Yes. So I appreciate that you've stayed in touch. I want to talk about something specifically that you're doing right now, and you've been doing since 2005, something very, very important. As the mother of a 17-year-old, I realize that as we're raising our boys, we're also having to be conscious of the fact that we're also raising men. And what you have started is so critical to our young men in our community, our men of color. It's called OYLA, which I mentioned earlier, is Omega Youth Leadership Academy. You started this back in 2005 to empower and educate males of color in 5th to 12th grade, very impressionable, critical stages in life. And you help them face, navigate, overcome today's social and personal challenges. What were you encountering as an educator at that time that made you realize back in 2005 that a leadership program like this was necessary?
Well, as a classroom teacher, particularly I was a reading teacher. And so I would have a population of a lot of brown and black young men. And one of the things I noticed is that sports was their gateway. And then I started noticing there was a population of kids who maybe were mischievous, getting in a little bit of trouble, but had nothing outside of athletics to actually get involved with. And so we had a youth conference. The kids became engaged with that, and it just inspired me to say, you know what, there needs to be another vehicle for them to get involved with besides, and there's nothing wrong with sports, but if you take a look at it, not everyone uses sports as that life path. So that was one of the main reasons why we got it started.
And so it's been 15 years. Obviously, it's been a success. It's a comprehensive community-based youth development program with a one-year curriculum designed to empower males of color with certain skills necessary to overcome social and personal challenges. What are the biggest challenges that young boys of color are facing right now?
I think self-identity. If you look at the systems and the way things are set up, a lot of our kids are viewed upon not as always being positive role models and it relates to. So we spend a lot of time on self-identity, getting them to understand who they are as men of color, men of worth, men of value. We spend some time on them with the leadership development piece, and we also talk about the college and career readiness, because those are some of the challenges they go across systemically in those three areas. There's barriers in place that they just need that extra hand or pathways for mentors to help them overcome some of those things.
Well, and sometimes it's getting them to understand that there is so much beyond just high school, right?
Right.
And making sure that they're prepared for that.
Right. A lot of the data shows that a lot of our young men feel, because of the fact of the matter is colleges cost so much to go, they look at that as a barrier. So they start shortcoming their belief system. And so what we try to do is awaken that spirit. We try to let them know that, there are avenues and there are pathways and there are people out there that want to help you navigate through this system to obtain college education or a trade. And so we spend a lot of time breaking down those mental barriers, if you will.
And you also rely heavily on mentors because obviously these boys need mentorship in their life. How does somebody go about becoming a mentor to be involved in the academy?
Well, you can go to our website, which is www.OYLA.org, and just leave us a contact information. And we usually in the spring will send out information letting people know that they can sign up for different events we have throughout the year, or systemically, like our program runs the 2nd and 4th Saturday of every month, starting at the end of September. And so based on some people's skill sets or based on events, they're welcome to come in, and we do background checks, and then we get a chance to use their social capital along with their skill sets in those areas that sometimes kids just need to see someone who looks like them. For example, we have people who want to become doctors, and we intentionally go out and find Black and brown doctors. So when we do that workshop, I mean, the first half of the workshop is just breaking down, like, how did you become a doctor? The kids building their belief system up. And so that's how our volunteers are brought into the fold.
Well, you are a fifth generation educator, spent 25 years so far in public education. We're seeing a growing digital inequity during this pandemic of distant learning. How, in your opinion, do we as a community, as a state, as a country begin to address this inequity, and what steps should we be taking to close that gap?
I think we got to look at the data. The data's there. I think if anything, there's always been that elephant in the room, and just the climate that we're in right now has really polarized a lot of that data. Speaking as a classroom educator and as an administrator, the data's there, but sometimes that uncomfortable conversation. So I think it's already begun by having those conversations, getting community partners and allies on board with some measurable outcomes. It's easily, I call it a drive-by. It's easy to have these events where we all take a photo and then we kind of disappear back into our normal worlds, but really being intentional of finding populations that need the help, surrounding them with nice cohorts of community engagement to move these masses of people along the way.
Well, and you have a service component to the curriculum that you provide for these members. And this is something they also get to do with those mentors as well, right?
Correct. One of our, we do traditionally, we feed the homeless. We do our own canned food drives where we partner up with the city of Phoenix during the, I just drew a blank, Domestic Violence Month, I'm sorry, where we all wear purple and we collect for those shelters. And then our biggest one is that we do a Living Above the Influence Youth Conference, in which the young men help put that on. And it is a service project. Most people think picking up trash or canned food drives, but no, they are actually identifying a problem in their area, which systemically deals with education and equities of careers. And then we go out and we put a workshop together, a conference that we've been doing for 9 years now. We bring in 100 young men from all across the valley, tons of volunteers, and we partner with Maricopa County Community College District. They usually give us a facility and support us financially. And then we bring them in and that's a service project. And in that, our messaging is service. It's not about, even if you get a job, we ask them, look at that company and see who they help. Because it's inherent that we have to teach them that once you make it, you have to turn around and help someone else.
That is so very important. What kind of a transformation do you see among the members from the beginning to the time that the curriculum is over?
I think as I'm getting older, I'm getting more sensitive because I cried this year. I had a young man who was in my program, moved out here from Chicago in the 5th grade. And he's been in our program. His mother would drive. They live way in the East Valley. And traditionally, we have our events in Central Phoenix because kids come from all over. Our cohort of about 40 kids each year. And so I've watched a mom just kind of chase OYLA. We'd move the meetings. I would feel bad. And just looking at that young man and having him speak this year, he's going to be going to the University of New Mexico. And just, I mean, even some of his triumphs and his trials, it wasn't an easy road for him, but I love the fact that once they know what they know, they're able to come back. And when we have our roundtable discussions on issues that they're dealing with, where they're able to do some of the strategies that we give them, particularly with peer pressure. Why are you taking this AP class? Why are you doing some of those things? That's a whole nother level of some of our kids who are young men of color, is when you step out and start doing the right thing, sometimes your community doesn't value that. And so knowing that transformation and hearing them say, I don't care what people think, I got to do what I got to do. He's a great example. And just some of the other young men who've moved on just into their fatherhoods, seeing them give you a phone call back and talk about some, grown folk stuff, if you will, and knowing that they're still using some of those strategies and that foundation that we gave them as we talk about manhood.
Right. And you've had a couple of those members actually come back and work with you as mentors, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. One of them is a professor. He earned his PhD from Arizona State. He attended Morehouse in Michigan, and he comes back whenever he's in town. We always have him do workshops. And then there's several others who've come back or either live here. They come out, and it's neat because I tried to really strategically put something together, but it's so informal and so powerful. We usually have them come in for half an hour, and it's usually like an hour and a half, because that generation gap is there. And those kids know 5 or 6 years ago, I was sitting in your seat. and you can touch me, you can feel me. Here's my Snapchat, call me. And what's really neat is sometimes when we start a meeting or you have a young man who's in the program will walk by and say, hey, such and such said hi. And I go, hey, when'd you talk to him? And he says, hey, we text all the time now.
Oh.
And it's like, wow, you know, so some of these things organically are just happening that I am just so thrilled about.
Well, that in-person connection you touch on is so important, and it helps me transition to something that I really want to talk about. Is that one of the highlights of the Academy is a 3-day trip to the National College Expo with over 5,000 youth from all over Southern California, visiting private and public high learning institutions like USC, my alma mater, and Long Beach State, and activities like visiting the California African American Museum, Universal Studios. It's an opportunity for your members to see what's available, as we talked about before, beyond high school. What did they tell you that this kind of activity and this kind of connection means to them?
From a parent standpoint, it's life-changing. A lot, I would say maybe 60% of our parents are single mothers. And so having the opportunity, I call it being tapped on the shoulder. We all been tapped on the shoulder to be allowed to participate in something. And so they're so appreciative of it, of the fact that for them to go. The young men go over, they're kind of wide-eyed, bushy-tailed. A lot of our kids are transient, and they're not from Arizona, because that's just our population in general. So they're thinking the Hollywood, they're thinking this, and all the lights and cameras that go with it. But when we get there and we actually have our roundtable discussions with administrators and with students at those universities, I mean, it's a transformational feeling that I just really can't explain. We use our bus as a mobile classroom, so we debrief every day. And when we debrief, I mean, the kids really break down those barriers and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go back, and it just empowers them to, a kid will tell me, hey, Mr. Ross, I don't think I can get into USC. It's $72,000, but I'm gonna go ahead and go to ASU, and it's only 22, and I'm getting, you know, 15,000 in scholarship. So they're able to see not only outside of their communities, but they're able to see what skills and what resources they currently have around them. Some come back and just say, you know what, I'm going to go to the junior college and get a certificate. But that trip is so, it's life-changing. I wanted to give a special thanks to two of our sponsors. One is Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, fraternity that's very dear and near to me. And then also the men of Gamma Mu Educational Services. We started off, the first year we went, we rented a van, about 6 energy drinks, and we shoved 12 kids in there, and we went for one day. We drove over, we saw USC during the day, and then we went to the conference, and we literally drove back. And now we're blessed enough to have people, our funders, come in, and we're able to take a chartered bus, and like I said, to take them to those different events that they've never had an opportunity to see. I mean, even for myself, I've never been to a Laker game, and I grew up in California, so having those opportunities. But each year, it's a new season. Each year, something's different when we go. But the kids, they come back, and it's just, they're on fire when they come back.
I can only imagine what an opportunity that is for these children and for you to experience this with them. So I want to ask you, you know, what kind of an impact does that have on you personally when you have a student like Corey, who you just messaged me about, you know, last week, who was just accepted to USC, fight on. You know, when you see a member get accepted to college or university or graduate from college and then invite you to attend that, because of your academy and the influence of that, what does that mean to you?
It means that my life has purpose. I was a former athlete who, you know, you had dreams and goals, single mom, dreams and goals of playing professional athletics, even though I came from an educated family. And the minute that's kind of taken away from you, you wonder, what is your purpose? And so I got into education, and I thought, okay, I'm going to be this great athletic director. And that kind of didn't float. And now each year it's like Christmas for me when these kids open up their letters or they get their emails and they send you the screenshots, or sometimes it's a mentor letting me know that they've got in, and it's just, it's unbelievable. I mean, each year you get a rush, and I try to take some time off in June and July, but usually, you know, you get those emails and you get fired up. Okay, we got to do this year. We got to do that. And so it's life-changing for myself, and it is so rewarding knowing that you were put on this earth as a vehicle to help these young folks out. And then I think of all the people who helped me. all the people who tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, go left, not right. Or, hey, sometimes it's just, you're doing okay. Because sometimes our young men don't get those affirmations because we're searching for them. We're searching through the media and we're searching here. And just to know that you played a part in that, phenomenal.
Well, I appreciate your passion and all that you continue to do to educate our students and give them these opportunities, because you certainly are making a difference. I think Corey is a prime example of that. So I want people to know, first of all, if they know somebody who would be great for this academy, how they go about getting enrolled or entered, and also how you can get mentors to be involved. Maybe somebody wants to sponsor, what you're doing. What should they know?
They can reach out to us at our website. It's www.OYLA.org. We're also on Instagram and Facebook at OYLA212, and then on Twitter at OYLA USA. So those are the places they can reach out to us, and then we'll have a representative or someone will get back to them for whatever their concerns or needs or whatever they want to do to get involved with us. We do have some sponsorship opportunities that are coming up because we've made a virtual switch with our program that's just been phenomenal. We started a book club, and
oh, that's great.
It's awesome. And so we're doing some virtual things now online. And so we're always looking for bright minds, bright talent, and people who have resources to help us do the heavy lifting.
And at this point, you're probably going to be pivoting to virtual academy, correct?
Yes, we are. And we're doing curriculum work right now to engage our young people to where we're going to be able to put platforms up where it'll be able to be centered and be hosted there. And also our live check-ins right now are really going well, but we want to go ahead and systemically get things started to supplement what a lot of the schools are doing. A lot of the schools are going to have that hybrid model, but where are we going to be able to reach in and help our schools and our parents with some of that time that the kids are going to be at home?
Exactly. And because some of the parents, myself included, aren't always as advanced as our kids are. They've been doing, my son was doing Zoom a long time before I was. So, trying to not only get the students staying up to speed, but also the parents who have to help out.
Right.
So it does present some challenges. Okay, so once again, it's OYLA.org. What does the application process entail?
Basically, name, date. Traditional application, except we have 2 essay questions they have to answer for us. One of them, if you were principal of your school, what would you change and why? And that gives us a baseline of kind of a psychological approach to what they feel is important. And then the other question basically is just a small little essay sample of just asking them some of their likes. They fill that out, they click it. There is a $150 registration fee, but we have scholarships available. We never let money get in the way. And then once we receive that, we reach out to you, and wherever we are in our curriculum, we have basically a rolling enrollment. And we used to have it just for a certain time, but now with our curriculum, it's circular. So we're able to grab a young man, place them where we are, and kind of keep the wheels rolling down the street.
That's so wonderful. Larry, thank you so much for sharing and for all you do and for staying in touch. It is great to finally have the opportunity to talk about something you've been doing since 2005 and really making a difference.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's good to talk to you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
All right.
Thanks so much for watching Conversations with Catherine. Please remember to hit the subscribe button, like, and comment while you're here. I'll see you next time.